And we're back. Travis Haney hanging out tonight here on SportsLine. Phone line still open, 737-7767 if you'd like to get in. We got an open bank, so you can get in rather quickly at the moment. Talked a little bit about Tennessee and Vanderbilt. What about the hot seat coaches out there? Who is on a scorching hot seat right now?
The conversation starts with the SEC West, and to me it starts with Les Miles, because you think back about that chaotic scene, how wild it was last year when they hosted A&M over Thanksgiving weekend.
He might win the national championship this year.
It's unbelievable. He's 112-32 at LSU, and this could go in either way dramatically, radically, and we don't know. I mean,
he wins the title, they name the stadium after him. He doesn't, and he could go.
But even they're trying to run him out of town last November. Yeah. He's riding off the field on his players' shoulders, and the fans are chanting his name. So this is it's a weird situation. But welcome to the SEC West. This is what Nick Saban has created. Winning 4 titles in 7 years and another one when he was at LSU. This is the crucible of expectation in that division. It's unbelievable.
It really is.
The amount of talent, I think we both agree that we think LSU is going to win the division, but yet if it doesn't go that way, if they don't beat Alabama and they're not in Atlanta, there is a really good chance that LSU has a new coach for 2017.
I'm just waiting for the first time they lose for the next weekend for them to have a board of trustees meeting in the second quarter again. I mean, that to me is the most insane story.
The buyout was right around $20 million last year, and I was told that there was a single person, one person, was willing to pay half of it. That there is a person out there who is willing to pay $10 million for a man not to work.
Yeah. And they couldn't come up with enough cash in that meeting in the president's suite.
Meanwhile,
middle of that Arkansas
a couple of months later, the actual school, LSU, the academic side, is in such a budget crisis that they're having to close the school and cancel classes. Those are different budgets, but just understand how crazy it is. Yeah. When people want a coach gone, they're going to find a way to make it happen. The same thing is happening at Auburn, where you're just a couple of years removed from Auburn being in the national title game, 12 seconds away from beating Florida State. I was standing right there in the end zone at the Rose Bowl in 2013, and now a couple of years later he's on the way out unless things go a different way. So
a lot of people give Malzahn credit for winning in 2010,
right?
More so than Chizik,
coordinator and getting Cam
gets him
going
back there, and now he may be on the way out.
But I was going to say that there's no more difficult job in a sense than to be in the shadow, the literal geographical shadow of what Alabama and Nick Saban are doing, of being in that state, being in that rivalry, and watching your rival win title after title. So I think it's a better Auburn team. Personnel, pretty good, both sides of the ball. Better than last year, certainly, but it could still wind up a 7-8 win team, and that might not be enough.
We got a caller here, so quickly. Coach on the bigger hot seat in the Lone Star State. Charlie Strong at Texas, Kevin Sumlin at Texas A&M.
I would argue that A&M and Kevin Sumlin, because I think there's more dissension among the boosters about whether to keep him. And I believe this, that at Texas, they feel like things are moving in the right direction. They would like to keep Charlie Strong, if at all possible, but there's one wrinkle, Steve, and his name is Tom Herman. Mm-hmm. That if the Houston program and the Houston coach win enough games this year, that it becomes a pseudo bidding war between these two rivals, and Texas wants to keep Charlie Strong, but feels like it might lose Tom Herman to A&M, maybe it makes a bid for him. It's going to be a fascinating little triangle, little theater going on in Texas.
Because I think Tom Herman is the real deal, and apparently a lot of people down there agree. Let's go to Leroy. Leroy, good evening.
Hey, Steve. Man, look here. I dare you to make a comment that other than TSU, there's not any givens on Vanderbilt's schedule. Man, I hope you are present when TSU run Vanderbilt off of West End. TSU have a history of D1 schools, especially on homecoming. Go back and search the file back when TSU ran University of Louisville up out of their stadium there. So I hope you are present when we do the same to Vanderbilt for their homecoming.
I will be there, and I will point this conversation out if it happens, Leroy. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I will say this. I hope TSU is competitive enough to make that happen this year. Last year, they had quarterback issues, injury issues. They took a big step back. Rod Reed's done a great job there. They won the conference. They were in the playoffs and won a game a couple years ago. I was up at Butler when they did that. I really thought they were headed to the point where they could be a consistent sort of top 20 team in the FCS. They took a big step back last year because of those things. Hopefully, they've got it sorted out for this year.
Well, I think just to take the emotion out of it, you could put any FCS program into that slot.
Sure.
Vanderbilt's playing most any outside of North Dakota State. And that's probably going to be the gimme win. So it's nothing against TSU, nothing against the guys that are working hard across town. It's just you got an SEC program, you got a Power 5 program, and you got an FCS program. Those are the games you got to win.
If Derek Mason loses to TSU, he may find himself on the hot seat.
We will have a different conversation.
Heisman frontrunners, you have a vote. Last year you went with Christian McCaffrey, who would have been my guy as well if I had a vote. He's obviously back. Deshaun Watson was in New York. He's back. Derrick Henry's playing for the Titans, but I think there's a chance Leonard Fournette could make a run at all those SEC rushing numbers this year if he stays healthy. You got Dalvin Cook at Florida State, Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma. This appears to be a year where we've got a bunch of front runners early on. Will they be there in New York together, or who else maybe sneaks up into the mix?
Yeah, I believe it's 4 of the top 6 or 5 of the top 6 are back. So this is on paper, a fantastic Heisman year. You hope those guys all stay healthy. We saw how freaky injuries can happen with Teddy Bridgewater today. So you hope everybody stays healthy, and we have this race that extends into December. I know you're probably a Fournette guy. We both think LSU is going to make the playoff, be the SEC champion this year, break through and save Les Miles' job. I come back to Deshaun Watson. I just think the quarterback position historically has been so valuable for Heisman voters across the country. And it's the nature of that offense that returns everybody from last year and then adds Mike Williams, a potential top 10, top 15 pick in the draft. It's just too loaded of an offense for a running back anywhere to overcome that. Lamar Jackson, the Louisville quarterback, off the board right now. That's somebody I'd watch, dual threat. I think they're going to have a really good season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch Louisville if they can take that next step under Bobby Petrino. Got to take our final break. We'll come back, wrap things up after this.